Available now. Link below.
In a stunning display of tone deafness, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg has once again proven just how out of touch the Biden administration is with the American people. His latest blunder? Mocking Americans for their reluctance to embrace electric vehicles, comparing it to the resistance of cell phones in the early 2000s. But as we'll see in this special report, his analogy couldn't be further from the truth. The reality is that the administration's relentless push for EVs is a prime example of failed policies that are too expensive and unfeasible for the average American. From declining sales to layoffs in the electric segment, the evidence is clear. The Biden administration's EV pipe dream is crumbling before our very eyes. So stay tuned, because you don't want to miss my final thought on this shocking story. Now listen up. Just like the Biden administration's misguided push for overpriced electric vehicles, many Americans are feeling the pain of rising gas prices. What if I told you there's a way to beat those greedy oil companies at their own game? Introducing this amazing little device right here. It can help you spend less at the pump. Now, this intelligent fuel-saving gadget easily installs in your vehicle, boosting fuel efficiency by up to 25%, power by 35%, and torque by 25%. And get this, the first month alone covers the cost of the device itself. Experience incredible fuel savings with an exclusive 50% off discount and a risk-free 60-day trial at reducemyfuel.com. So don't miss out on this game-changing offer. Now let's get back at it. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg's recent appearance on Fox News has sparked outrage among Americans as he used a faulty analogy to mock those who are hesitant to embrace electric vehicles. He compared the resistance to EVs to the skepticism surrounding the transition from landlines to cell phones in the early 2000s. However, his comparison falls flat when examining the stark differences between the two situations. While cell phones offered clear advantages over landlines and became more affordable over time, the same cannot be said for electric vehicles. EVs remain prohibitively expensive for the average American, and the infrastructure to support them is severely lacking. Buttigieg's dismissive attitude towards these legitimate concerns has left many questioning his understanding of the challenges faced by everyday citizens. Here's that moment.
Tesla sales fell 8.5% the first quarter of this year. Ford this week is laying off 2/3 of its workforce at the F-150 electric Lightning plant. It's also scaling back a battery production facility because of sagging sales. EV sales are nowhere near what this president wanted or expected, yet the administration continues to shove them down consumers' throats. Why?
Well, let's be clear. Consumers have wanted and purchased more EVs every single year than the year before. And, Tesla is facing more competition as GM and Ford and Stellantis and other competitive players start to make sure they get a piece of the EV market. Let's be clear that the automotive sector is moving toward EVs, and we can't pretend otherwise. Sometimes when these debates happen, I feel like it's the early 2000s, and I'm talking to some people who think that we can just have landline phones forever.
My goodness. The Biden administration's unwavering push for electric vehicles has been met with criticism, as reports showing declining EV sales and auto companies laying off significant portions of their workforce in the electric segment. This raises questions about the viability of the administration's policies and their impact on the American economy. Now, in this tweet, Matt Whitlock, he highlights the problems with Democrats' perception of EVs. He says Democrats think EVs are to gas-powered cars what cell phones were to landlines. In reality, EVs are gas-powered cars what Fyre Fest was to music festivals. Sounded cool, had potential, but was built on false promises and artificial market forces. The environmental concerns surrounding EV battery production and disposal have also been largely ignored by the administration. The process of mining the necessary materials for these batteries has a significant ecological impact, and the lack of a comprehensive plan for battery recycling and disposal further undermines the claim that EVs are a sustainable solution. David Musker, well, he called out Pete Buttigieg for mocking Americans who don't want electric cars, pointing out the lack of charging stations and questioning why Pothole Pete, what he's been doing for the past 3 years. Now, Buttigieg's comparison of EV adoption to the transition from landlines to cell phones is not only inaccurate, but also reveals a disturbing disconnect between the administration and the American people. The fact that many Americans still rely on landlines for various reasons, including reliability and affordability, further undermines his argument. Now, Phil Kerpen, he questions Pete's understanding of the situation, asking, does Pete think the federal government banned landlines? I know he doesn't go into the office much, but isn't there a phone on his desk? Well, the Biden administration's failure to acknowledge the real challenges faced by Americans in adopting EVs is a testament to their misguided priorities. Instead of addressing the root issues of affordability and infrastructure, they continue to push a narrative that is increasingly at odds with reality. As the country grapples with economic uncertainty and the ever-increasing cost of living, the last thing Americans need is an administration that is more concerned with advancing a narrow ideological agenda than addressing the practical needs of its citizens. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. It's time for my final thought. Folks, Pete Buttigieg's recent remarks serve as a glaring reminder of just how disconnected the Biden administration is from the realities faced by everyday Americans. Their relentless push for electric vehicles, despite the clear evidence of their impracticality and unaffordability, is a slap in the face to hardworking citizens who are struggling to make ends meet. It's time for our leaders to wake up and recognize that their failed policies are not the solution to our nation's problems. We need an administration that listens to the concerns of its people, not one that mocks them for their legitimate reservations. The American people deserve better than a tone-deaf elitism displayed by Pete Buttigieg and the Biden administration. It's time for change, and it starts with holding our leaders accountable for their actions.
Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. Now keep up your quest for truth with this next news report. And if you found our channel enlightening, join the millions who agree with you. Tap subscribe. Thank you for watching the Next News Network.